In today's world, there's this constant push to show off how successful, rich, and luxurious we are, even if it means sacrificing our financial health. It comes from all directions: society's expectations, what our friends are doing, and our own dreams and desires. It's like we feel the need to put on a show to impress others. And because of all this pressure, a lot of us end up stuck in this cycle of pretending we've got it all together, even when we're drowning in debt. We put on this front like we're living the high life, but really, we're buried under a mountain of debt, making it nearly impossible to stay afloat financially. It's like we're living in a fantasy world where the reality is way less glamorous. My name is Chris, and I help teach people about money, personal finance, and investing. If you're interested in improving your financial future, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if this video is helpful. It's become normalized to show off as much as possible. Like, the way to show others you've made it is to impress them with your financial abilities. After all, everyone on the street needs to see that you can make large purchases. Have you ever met someone and within the first few minutes of the conversation, they spit out an impressum about their financial well-being, including things like their job title, where they went on vacation last year, perceived financial accomplishments, and other expensive purchases they've made? They might even go as far to mention future purchases they're thinking of making. Although the ones making these statements believe they're making jaws drop, it's actually making others raise an eyebrow, wondering why they feel the need to tell you these things. Getting a shiny, brand new car has become another go-to way to signal to others that you've achieved success. How else will others know you make money and have a credit score, other than by driving a brand new car and presenting a flashy image? It's not like anyone can just go finance a new car, right? You know, it's funny how things aren't always what they seem. Take those folks who seem to have it all together, the ones living in fancy houses, driving sleek cars, jet-setting around the world, and the big one, making it out as if they're wealthier than everyone else. It turns out, a lot of them are actually struggling behind the scenes. Yep, you heard that right. Despite the facade of luxury, many of these seemingly affluent individuals are actually drowning in debt. They're maxing out credit cards left and right, living paycheck to paycheck, all to maintain that image of success. It's like they're living in this bubble of extravagance, but when you peek behind the curtain, you realize it's all smoke and mirrors. Next time you catch yourself feeling envious of someone's seemingly perfect life, just remember, things aren't always as they appear. According to research conducted by TransUnion, the typical consumer carries an average credit card debt of approximately $6,300. At first glance, this might not seem too alarming. Just make the monthly payment and keep the balance relatively low, right? Unfortunately, this is just a glimpse into their overall financial picture. The reality becomes even more grim when considering the high interest rates associated with these accounts, averaging around 23%. This means that by only making the minimum payment, a significant portion of the payment is swallowed up by interest charges. Instead of chipping away at the principal balance, most of that money is lining the pockets of the banks. Rather than paying off that dream vacation from last year, consumers are essentially lining the bank's pockets with interest fees. Individuals belonging to Generation X, born between 1965 and 1980, carry the highest average credit card debt among all age groups, surpassing $9,000. When we shift our focus to auto loans, the situation becomes even more concerning. Consider this: the average monthly payment for a new car now stands at a staggering $726. That's no small chunk of change. In fact, not too long ago, such a figure would have easily rivaled a typical mortgage payment in many areas. Moreover, the average loan amount for these shiny new rides exceeds $40,000, with repayment terms stretching over an average of 68 months. That's not even considering the high taxes, insurance premiums, and maintenance costs associated with these pricey rides. It's clear that the affordability of vehicles has taken a nosedive in recent years, leaving consumers grappling with increasingly hefty financial burdens. But taking on a payment of this size is often nothing more than trying to impress ourselves and others. Owning a nice car has become a popular way to show off, like flashing a badge of wealth. But here's the twist: many of those driving the flashiest rides are actually in deep financial trouble. As you can see, they're piling on debt just to keep up appearances. And where does this pressure come from? Everywhere. Ads, social media, even our friends. It's become so normalized to finance an expensive car, far surpassing what used to be considered a realistic expenditure, to the point where people are basically reserving 1 week's paycheck every month just for the loan payment. The worst part about having a huge car payment is that you'll never see most of that money ever again. It feels like you're paying off an expensive asset, but you'll probably only get a fraction of that payment back when you go to sell it in a few years. Even though it might appear as if people have it all together as they pull up in their shiny new car, the reality is just the opposite. Now let's talk about those sporting fancy job titles, or people with years of secondary education. We'd all like to believe that they're earning a respectable income and doing quite well, and this may be the case, but student loan debt can quickly dwarf one's income. According to educationdata.org, the average student loan payment is slightly above $500 per month. That's nothing too crazy, but the problem is that these student loans are often stacked with other debts, as mentioned previously, like credit cards, car payments, in addition to other monthly obligations, like rent or mortgages. When all is considered, many college graduates are living on credit. Many of them just come to terms with the fact that they're going to be in debt for many, many years, which is understandable considering the overwhelming nature of multiple substantial debts. Albert Einstein once dropped a nugget of wisdom that still reverberates today. Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. Let's unpack that. Essentially, when it comes to interest, you've got two paths to choose from. Option 1, you're funneling your hard-earned cash straight into the bank's pockets by overspending and racking up loans left, right, and center. Or there's option 2, you're tightening your belt, keeping your expenses in check, shelling out cash for your purchases, and kicking off your investments. Why? Because you're savvy enough to know that by investing wisely, you're not just stashing away money, you're jump-starting the magic of compounding interest, turning those hard-earned dollars into an ever-expanding nest egg. That brand new car will only be worth a fraction of what you paid for it a few years down the road. So is that where you want to spend one entire week's pay every month? You don't have to look far to see folks living on credit like it's their lifeline. They're swiping those cards for flashy vacations, driving cars that scream out of my league, all while wrestling with hefty student loans. It's like we're trapped in this game where showing off spending habits is the ultimate goal, even if it means risking financial stability. Luxury cars, fancy trips, the latest gadgets, they've become badges of social status, even if it means drowning in debt. People would rather buy unnecessary stuff instead of creating a financially free future. Instead of heeding Einstein's advice and letting our money work for us, we're too busy handing it over to the banks in the form of compound interest. Next time you see someone who appears to be doing incredibly well based on not only what they've told you, but the stuff they buy and how they spend their money, realize that you're not seeing the full picture. Chances are, this is a facade more than anything, and shiny stuff doesn't equate to financial well-being. Ditch the debt treadmill and live within your means. Make smart choices and invest in your future. It's not just wishful thinking, it's a mindset waiting to be embraced. It's not cool to spend money just to impress others. Actually, just the opposite, and most people can see right through this smokescreen. Let's shake off the pressure to keep up appearances, redefine what success looks like, and take control of our financial futures.